Luke and Jamie, front. Welcome to the studio.
Hi.
How's it going?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having us in. Thanks for inviting us in.
Yeah.
No
Been
problem.
A long time coming, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like we've been trying to do it for a while,
Yeah.
but
All I've wanted to sit down at this pool table and talk to you.
but yeah, how's life been? Because I haven't seen either of you in fucking a hot minute.
Good. Busy. I don't know. Just feel like
Surviving. Surviving and trying to thrive, I guess. But
yeah,
it's just been busy, isn't it?
just been really, really busy. That's all I can say. Just working all the time, which is good. Kind of have to preface it with saying that, like, it's better being busy than not being busy, but it's
It's a good problem to have, but also it does get a bit like, oh fucking hell, like
I'm pretty sure
it goes the other way as well.
Luke hates me 90% of the time, but, just from bugging you with questions about work, not work, friends, whatever it might be. But yeah, we've both been busy, but it's welcomed, especially in, like, for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've going freelance and trying to keep busy is a rewarding process, but at the same time, it's finding that balance, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think last time we saw each other, you were like just starting freelance.
Yeah, maybe. So it was just over a year ago. I'm freelance now. And Vicky came in here, didn't she? So
that was like
and did some work experience with you guys, which was awesome. Yeah.
With Thrasher as well.
With the dog, So I've been freelance over a year now, which is crazy. Like, super grateful to be in the position I'm in, especially reflecting on what I was doing beforehand. Like, or, you know, I've bounced around a lot of jobs in the last kind of 10 years, met some amazing people, but didn't know what I wanted to do, but then loved the idea of doing photography, but just never, you know when you're just like, I ain't going to be able to do that. I don't know that world. I don't know where to start. I'm not good enough. That came through my head a lot. But then you realise that when you meet people in the community and they're encouraging you, you kind of got to take their feedback, their nice feedback, in a way, like, yeah, I can do this, and that's what I've had to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess you're trying to transition more into, from your freelance background to what you're doing now has changed as well, hasn't it?
I mean, I've always done lots of different things freelance, really. So I do a lot more photography and video now than I ever used to do. But I kind of did that on purpose.
Yeah, because when I first met you, you were doing a lot of web stuff, right?
I still do.
Yeah.
So, like, design and build websites. When I first started doing freelance work, it was all graphic design, and then I do a lot of, like, podcast editing and video editing for the people, and then just wanted to, but was always doing photography just as a hobby, and then was like, actually, I do like doing this, and I know there's that kind of element of, like, do I want to take this thing that I love doing and turn it into a job?
Yeah, because that's always sort of
I am still happy taking photographs, and then, like, we were at a job the other day and we had a 4-hour gap in between from the morning to the end. We would have went out and took photos during that gap, so it was like the fact that we did that, I think, was like,
it was like a 12-hour day, but then on reflection we realised that we'd done street photography for 4 hours. Do you know what I mean? So
on top.
It was actually all right.
It was really good. Yeah, but it was just in, like, somewhere in London, wasn't it, in Central, so we walked to, like, Covent Garden or whatever, and then walked back, and it was really good. But yeah, I was doing video, but I was borrowing a camera from somebody every single time I wanted to go and do a job, and it was like a proper, like, video camera type thing. Big. And I was like, I need to get my own one.
Did you ever feel like when you were borrowing, because I wasn't freelance when you were doing this, like borrowing equipment, obviously we knew each other at the time, but did you ever feel like less professional for doing that with the clients that you went to?
I mean, probably looking back, yeah. I don't think about things a lot. Like, don't think about things very deeply in that sort of way. I just sort of get on and do them. And part of me looks back on that quite fondly, where I'm like, I used to go and do jobs, just take a video camera. Didn't take lighting, I had a microphone, and I think before I had a lav mic, I had a shotgun mic and one little, big, like stupid old Sony video camera kind of thing. And I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, that's how you do it. And you'd just find a bit of nice light. And I was doing like corporate stuff and doing stuff for the gym downstairs from where we are. Nice. And that's, and I'd just go in there with this camera. It had a fixed lens. I only had autofocus. You didn't think about anything. It just sort of did the job. And now I wouldn't go anywhere like with just a camera. Like you've got to I take far too much equipment. Take spare cameras. Take all this, which actually helps. I did break my camera the other day whilst on a shoot. So
so the backup
luckily
was.
I had another backup, like a third camera.
I think that comes with like almost experience in a way though, because you saying that reminds me of like going back and like when I was doing shoots when I was still in uni. Like I did a shoot for a pram company in Notting Hill and literally just rocked up with that camera. That was it. Yeah. And it was like, luckily it was a lovely sunny day and like everything looked great. But I'm like, what if it rained? What if it was a grey day? Like there was no saving that. Like, you know what I mean? If it went wrong, it was just like,
For me, being like a chronic worrier who worries twice as much as I should, probably more than that, I was really nervous about everything when I went, especially. Well, the first freelance job I did was actually like a little free gig. Me and you went and worked at a hotel, a wedding venue. Right. That was my first official job, not being employed anywhere else.
Was it? Right.
And I rocked it with an XT2, the standard lens that came with it. What was the lens that comes with that?
Oh, that 18 to 55.
18 to 55, and that was it. Do you know what I mean? That was it. A spare battery, and then you turned up with a bit more equipment, maybe.
Yeah, but still not huge.
No, not a huge amount. But I think back to that, and I was like, I would have been a nervous wreck at the time, worrying about what people were gonna like, getting judged for the work I was doing. The results aren't going to be good enough for the client, and I'm a nervous wreck. What the fuck am I going to do? Do you know what I mean? Like, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Who's going to tell you?
Yeah, and I was really paranoid about like friends and family judging me, the client judging me on my work. I'm not going to make it. But then, on reflection now, I'm like, I had to do that. I had to put myself out there and do those kind of little jobs to learn from it. Do you know what I mean? And I've still got a long way to go from where I am and where I kind of want to be, or even the direction I want to go in. But
and I think that's all of it though in freelance. It's like it really is like learning on the job. And as you go, like the lessons get smaller and more oddly specific to the point where like like, you know, as like early days it can be something as like like as major as like, okay, I had no plan B if you know, a battery died or like something, you know what I mean? So like now it's more just like, oh, maybe I could move the light 5 degrees this way and that will make it like, it gets more and more specific to the point where like which is better because you stress less. But
So I was never worried about like not getting the money or anything because, you know, I had to go freelance, had to earn money, but I was never paranoid about the money I was making. I was paranoid about getting the results that the client wanted, if you know what I mean. But I think you judge yourself based on your peers around you, right? So I'm looking at you guys' work, I'm looking at Luke's work, I'm looking at the community's work, and I'm like, I'm not there yet. I'm not at that level because you judge yourself harder than anyone else would judge you, right? But at the same time, the client doesn't know that you're hanging around with other professionals in the industry.
And like when you were talking about the kit lens earlier, it's like they have not a clue what a kit lens is versus like something that's actually expensive. It's like very rare you get to someone and they're like, so actually I used to do photography and I know everything you're talking about right here. Like most time it's just like
they just want the results, and if the results are okay or what they've asked for, doesn't matter what I think about my own work. Yes, I could have taken more photos or edit it differently or whatever it might be, but I've done exactly what the brief has asked me to do. And everything's fine. I'm still here.
Everyone had a good day and like, it's
it's a hard pill to swallow because it is a lot of pressure, a lot of anxiety that I got at the time. But now I still get anxiety now about like the future. But I think, well, I've done it for over a year now, and I'm still doing it. Do you know what I mean? I might not be earning the money I want to be earning. I might struggle some months over other months, but I can reflect and go, I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
For the most part, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm still holding a camera and that's paying my mortgage, which
Yeah,
is a rewarding thing to think about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if you feel the same, but I think if anyone, like if we, where we are now, we're sitting around a bloody pool table in a studio, talking to like, you know, like people in the community, and you think, yeah, it's a random whatever day. I don't even know what day it is. That's something else that freelance teaches you. No more weekends, it's just dates. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what you doing
Everything blurs, and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
You know, I'm proud that I'm still in. I'm proud that I'm still going to carry on doing it for at least the foreseeable future, and I'm sure new opportunities will arise. But for now, it's worth the hard work. But I don't know if you feel like this as well, because you're my unofficial mentor, do you know what I mean? But but like, sometimes I'll ask Luke a question, Luke, can you help me with X, Y, and Z? No. No, you never say that. But never. Sometimes I'm like, I need to ask him 3 stupid questions.
It's like when a child asks you how to spell something, and you're like, right, how do you think? You're like,
I need to come down,
sound it out.
Down to a year 3 explanation, explain to Jamie what's going on.
Yeah.
But you manage it, didn't you?
Well, you jumped straight into it as well, didn't you? You went straight from working full time to doing freelance work, whereas I slowly, which I think is slightly more usual, slowly transitioned into it being like a side hustle, which is a kind of horrible term, but I just started doing a bit of freelance work on the side, and got more and more and more. So when I went full time, which again was still by accident, got made redundant, and it was about 2 months before COVID, and I was like, whatever, I'll obviously didn't know that was about to happen, but I was like, fine, I've got enough people I can go out to. I was looking around at other jobs to apply for, and I was like, I just don't want any of these jobs, and was like, I'll just go out to everybody. Got loads of freelance clients quite quickly, or like the people I was already doing work for, I built it up, and then a lot of events companies, and they a lot of them went under during COVID. So within about 6 weeks of getting them, I lost them.
They all disappeared.
And I did a couple of like frantic LinkedIn posts, like literally, I was quite honest on there, and like, I've lost all my clients, or most of them, and people were like, oh. Yeah, I remember we used to work with you, because I've had a lot of jobs, like don't get anything for very long apart from freelance work. I just knew a lot of people, just random, for like random sort of corporate jobs. So people like put me in touch with other people and that sort of thing. And because I'll do anything, it's quite easy. Like, it doesn't have to be photography.
I think that's an important thing, though. Like, do anything. Like, if that's what I've learned from you, it's like, worry about, like, you said to me very early on in my freelance career, just say yes.
Say yes to everything.
Just say yes to everything. And I've been doing that now. And if I need help, then I'm now in a community where I can reach out to people like yourself, someone. It is. Like, we had the privilege of all working. I know you weren't there, you were on holiday doing nothing, but
being a layabout, being useless.
There's times where we've collaborated from a work stance, right? And and we do that now. And I've learnt that just say yes to it. Worry about the details later, and then odds are if you can't do something, you'll know someone who can help you out, right?
Yeah,
I think that's quite an important thing to get across, because from the outside, freelance feels as though like, okay, and now you're on your own, fight, it's you against everyone, like, but that perspective makes a lot of a lot more sense when you actually think about it. It's like we're all doing the same thing. Let's help each other out, and
that's it. Everyone's happy to support you. Do you know what I mean? I've had no shortage of support from friends and family who have nothing to do with the world that I'm now in, but at the same time, from the world that I'm now in, the people that I've met and the support I've received is phenomenal, like genuinely overwhelming. Do you know what I mean? How many people want to reach out and support or help or collaborate, because you'd do the same for them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's why we're sitting here now, because we want to help each other out. But at the same time, if I said to you, I need help with this, you would be there. And same as I would be, and vice versa. And I've never met a bad person in the industry who wouldn't help if you reached out for asking them.
Have I ever met somebody who's...
I've never met a prick.
Dick. Maybe you've met one.
You.
But generally everybody I meet is really nice and nice to work with and stuff like that. But
even like the professionals in the industry, like we did a job up in, where was that one? York, yeah. And we met a couple of videographers there. We got on with them really well. We bounced off them. Like, we were there doing still life photography, and there was a videographer and like an assistant, if you like, but they were both holding cameras. But we bounced off each other really well. But even the professionals that we worked with on that day, I won't give away the job or anything, but even everyone that was there as part of the crew that weren't necessarily camera people, it was still nice to meet them. They still had you could see how everything works, which again, it's a nice world to be in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, which is just nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just keeping yourself busy, and then I don't know. Again, like for me, it's like when I first went freelance, it was like, right, how do I get consistent money in? How do I? Because like I haven't got a name, so I was thinking I've got to do little £50 jobs, you know, and I've got to pay the tax man still. I need to earn more than that, and all this panic and fear was going in my head. But when I took a step back, I then realised that no, I can still work towards what I want to do, even if I'm not too sure what that is at the moment. But put myself in front of the people that I'm more interested to at that time than I was anything else, and then the work kind of slowly rolls in. Like every month, I always say to my partner, I'm like, next month I've only got X, Y, and Z in, and she'll be like, oh yeah, it'll come in, and it does. But it's so hard.
It's horrible to sit and be like, ooh, a lot of empty dates. But also vice versa. We started off the podcast being like, damn, we're all busy. It's the other way around. We look at calendar and like, it's like, damn, I don't know when, and like trying to fit stuff in. Equally the opposite way, like,
That's why front's taken a bit of a slower step, I guess, because we've just been busy. Do you know what I mean? There's no way other to say it. We've been busy in other areas, and it's been hard to focus our time on a kind of a personal project, if you like, especially as like we work together a fair amount now, or you know, for the most part. Some of those jobs will need preparation for them, or there's even things that we're talking about doing that are projects that aren't anything necessarily to do with front, but will help our portfolio out, or it'll be a fun project to work on. Like there's things that are in Northampton that we want to get involved with, but again, like it's finding the time to do that, find the jobs that you need to do to pay your bills, and you know,
it's that balance between like everyone when we were at uni, everyone who came in, they were like, it's really important you keep personal work going as well, which at the time seemed almost like, well, yeah, obviously I'll just keep doing weird stuff, but it's very quickly it falls by the wayside because you've got all the other things to worry about, and I think that
it's hard.
Balancing
we're going out shooting at least once a week for a good couple of hours, whether it be Northampton, London, Milton Keynes, whatever. We were making time
before. Not so much recently.
No, not in the last year or so. But again, I spoke about this the other day. I was saying, like, I miss taking photos now. Like, I can do it for the jobs that I'm doing, and maybe the jobs I'm doing now isn't where I want to be long term. But I still need to find time to forget about work and go out and shoot the things that I want to shoot. Doesn't matter if it's a tree on a dog walk or a project that I'm putting together. I need to make time to start doing that again, just because it will motivate me and make me feel good.
And I think as well, there's that thing of like, when you do freelance, you get pulled in a lot of different directions, and then there's always that question of like, well, how would you define what you do? And it's like, well, last week I did this, and next week I'm doing this other thing. So like, take your pick, I guess. It's just sort of like, and I guess personal work is a way to sort of keep a bit of control. And I've found that like the way you worded it is exactly how I feel. Like, oh, it's not work stuff, but kind of having to be like, well, it technically is if I'm gonna like produce exhibits off the back of it, or like for me it's like the photo books and things. It's like, well, you have to put that time aside and just say that is part of the work
it's
now.
Not like it's marketing for your brand or whatever. But
I remember talking to Tom Pitt, who we all know, great photographer by the way. He was saying, I reached out to him maybe a year ago about a job or whatever it was, and I was like, oh, how's it going? Have you got much work on at the moment? That kind of thing. And he was like, I really try not to call it work. He tries. He doesn't want to call it a job. He doesn't mind calling it work. Okay. I'm probably butchering what he said. He doesn't like calling it a job because he feels privileged to be in that position. Or maybe it is a job, but it's not work because he enjoys what he's doing. And I can't remember exactly what he said, but it kind of stuck with me in terms of the meaning. Is like,
didn't stick with you enough to actually remember what he said.
Not the exact words, but the meaning behind what he said was true. Like, we are privileged to be in this position, so kind of like make the most of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's that idea of just flipping it from like, I've got to do this today versus like, I get to do this today. It's like a very different switch in your head. And
but when there's someone paying you money to do something and you've got that, or you could do something personal, it's hard to prioritise that personal thing.
Yeah. Well, it's partially because like people take you, if you come from the opposite perspective, I noticed when we were again at uni, there was a certain point where everyone stopped saying they were going out to do photography, and they were like, they'd start calling like what they were producing like the work, or being like we're talking about artworks as works, because I think there's that thing that you go through where it's like, oh, it's just a silly thing I go out and do and take photos, and then trying to legitimize it. As it goes the other way when people are paying you, where it is like that very heavy, someone's paying me, I've got to take it serious. And for freelancers in ahead, work is like most people are motivated to be freelance because they don't want to do a 9 to 5, which is work. So in your head, you start calling it work, and you're like, fuck, I've just built my own prison instead of going to work at some office. Like,
but you can do like 10 till 4.
It's weird. I listened to a podcast, or some. I'm pretty sure it was a podcast. It was actually with Ed Sheeran of all people, right? And he was saying that he got inspiration from whoever it was. He's freelance, right? He can do whatever the fuck he wants, but like, within reason, Ed
Sheeran is
Ed Sheeran, But he schedules his day 9 to 5. Like he doesn't have to be 9 to 5, but he's like, I'm most productive working 9 to 5 because I can get up at the same time every day. I can do the jobs I need to do in the day, and then at 5 o'clock I can stop and say, right, I'm going to see my family now. It's a weird one to think about, because I've been striving so hard to get away from 9 to 5. But if I reflect about what I do on a day-to-day basis, I still get up, I crack on with work for the most part from the get-go of the day. But the freedom I have is that, I can put that down whenever I want, or I can go out and do these things, but you still find the pressure of keeping busy.
I think, like, I guess for Ed Sheeran, I don't know his the ins and outs. I don't know the ins and outs of his daily life. But I guess if you're doing something like that, then you can schedule it. I feel like photography is a little bit more difficult, because for me it's like, well, okay, I can get into a routine, but I may have 2 days in here where I can have the routine, and then I'm on a 4-day shoot where it's just all goes out the window. And then, like you say, you don't have weekends anymore, so that schedule's all fucked. So it's like trying to build any sort of consistent routine just doesn't work.
I also need to remember so I have like a to-do list. We were talking about earlier, you've got a to-do list behind you there, and I put everything I need to do on my to-do list every day, good or bad, whether it's like house chores or the work I'm doing. But when I reflect on, so sometimes I get overwhelmed. I'm like, the anxiety gets higher because I'm like, I've got 25 things to do today. But if I actually studied that list, I'd realise that 10 of those things I'm actually really looking forward to. They're going to be fun. Like, 'cause one day it might be like, today, 1 o'clock, PHOTOMAFIA Studios for a podcast. But if I looked at my list yesterday, I'd be like, I've got 10 things on tomorrow. That's quite a lot that I need to do, blah, blah. But if I study that list, I'm like, well, 3 of those things I'm actually really going to enjoy. So it's not... The pressure gets taken off, the weight gets taken off. And
are you a person, say, obviously this thing's like a timed thing, but when you have a to-do list where it's just like, I'm in here, I've got 17 different things to edit or email or stuff, how do you prioritize it? Because the mistake I have to make is like, I'm going to do all the stuff I want to do first, and then I end up with 3 tasks that I'm like, oh, I have an awful life.
Stare at the whole list and then don't do any of it, and then go, you go, oh, I could do that. No, but if I do that, and then I'm not doing that, and that needs to be delivered by then, and then you end up doing nothing. And then it's like,
and then you're like, fuck, what have I done to myself?
Why? Are they on like overwhelming days, though, do you think?
Say again?
Are they on days where you feel more overwhelmed than
maybe.
Because I'll get up and I'll watch an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine or The Office, and I'll be like, right, after this episode, I'm going to crack on. It's 9:30 now. I need to start doing something.
4 seasons later, you get out of bed.
I'm like, right today off, I'll do everything tomorrow. But it's never like that. But like, it's easy. Like, I get easily distracted when I've got a lot on my plate. But if I haven't got as much, I feel more motivated, because I think my attention span's quite short in terms of my productivity. So like, if I'm, like, I did a wedding, right? But so my turnaround time might be, say, I know I've got a couple of weeks to turn those photos around and the client to be happy or whatever it might be. But in my head, I'm like, I want to get all this done today. if I can get everything done today, then I've got 2 weeks that I don't have to worry about. Yeah, I can give them the photos early, I can move on to the next thing, which is what I want to do. But when I realise that's not a reality and it will take me more than that day, I'm almost over it before I've even started.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
If a job's going to take me longer than one sitting to do, and I'm like, well, it doesn't need to be delivered for a few weeks, I'm like, well, why am I doing it now? Like, and I'm not going to finish it now, so what's the point in starting? But I've got like, I'm making a documentary at the moment, and like, I've been editing it for months because it's just like, it's so much to do. We filmed it over the course of about a year, maybe about 10 months. And then, since Christmas, I've just been chipping away at it, trying to edit it. And it's such hard work. And because, it's not a paid thing, it's quite hard to find the time to do it. Yeah. We did actually film a little bit of in here.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about it, which...
Yeah, but we also...
Play trainer now.
I think actually the good thing about that, having because I've got a few other little projects I've done, like I filmed the last Tragic gig, and
I was wondering about what
it's just
what
there,
came
it's
of it.
Just I've synced up all the footage. I just need to go through and chop it up and do what I want to do with it. I filmed that like skate day at the skate park thing, But they were all like, there's no real deadline to them, and no one asked me to do them. Like, I asked Tragic, can I come and film your gig? Can I? And they were like, all right. But with the documentary, it's about someone who's dying, and she's gonna die at some point. So I'm like, fuck, I need to finish it. Because there is, I don't know what that limit is, but there is a limit to it. That kind of helps, like spur that along. It's going to be done by the summer. That's what we said. It'll be finished by the summer.
Which summer?
Exactly. But she'll be around. She'll be here for the next, for as long as I think, is that wooden? But but she's now gone past that like 3-year time limit that she was given, so it is all a bit like I need to get it finished. But it's fun. It's a fun thing to do. I've never done anything like that before. But it is quite a lot of, not pressure, it's more like it's quite an honour to be asked to do something like that with somebody.
I was just about to say that. I bet it's a huge honour to be able to do it.
Yeah, and I've just realised, like, if anyone's listening, no one knows what I'm talking
about. Well, I didn't want to press on it because I didn't know whether it was kind of like under wraps or...
No, totally. So my friend Tor, she's got stage 4 secondary breast cancer. She's got a terminal diagnosis. She was given 3 years to live about just over 3 years ago. And about a year and a half ago, she joined the gym downstairs that I do a lot of work for, and also I'm a member of. And she wanted to join the gym. She's got cancer, like spread, so it's in her bones and stuff like that. So her idea was, if I strengthen my bones and strengthen the muscles around my bones, that could help.
Right.
And it's actually really, really helped. She's like, I've never felt fitter. I've never felt like stronger, throughout any point in my life. And she's like really, really thriving because of it. And that 3-year kind of period has come and gone. And she's planning, I think next year she's got a 10-year anniversary of the first time she was diagnosed with cancer. She's going to have a little party for it. And then it's her 40th birthday, I think, the year after that. And she's planning that. So she's got these like plans, which I think really help, like positive mindset and stuff like that. But also just getting strong, with lifting weights. Like when I first met her, she could barely lift a 2-kilogram weight. And she's now doing... these Hyrox events where it's like a mad like 8-kilometre run with a station every kilometre, like skiing and stuff like that. It's crazy. It's so difficult to do. And she's just completed her second one. So the documentary was about her training for the first one. And then she was like, I'm just going to keep doing them actually. So she's just done the second one this weekend, and she's going to do more. So, it was like an amazing thing to be part of, and like go into a house, go into chemo sessions with her, and filming her like training and all that kind of thing. And now it's like cool, I've got like 500 gig like of footage, like hours and hours of stuff. Like, what do you do with it? Yeah.
But I bet you feel like like you said, that's you're proud to be able to put your name to that, so to speak, or even
it's amazing.
Proud to be involved in that.
Yeah.
And I bet it's the same for like people that you speak to on the podcast or people that you have in the studio, whatever it might be. You get insanely inspired by the people you talk to and the people you meet sometimes. It's like it's not something you can prepare for. Like I'm quite a motivated person in the morning. I get up and I'm ready to go. By the evening I'm like knackered and want to reset. But there's things that happen when I'm on a job and I might be a bit nervous, or I might be anxious, or I might be excited for this job, but I never think about the people I'm going to meet. And odds are every job I've done, I've met someone who's inspired me somehow, whether it be completely separate to the world I'm in or sitting here talking to you guys now. You finish it and you're like, how do I be a better person? Do you know what I mean? I bet Tor's done that for you. Like, she's inspired you to produce the best work you can, right?
Yeah, it's mad. It's like, she's so open and honest about like her diagnosis, and like you can ask her anything about it. And it's definitely it's a very inspiring thing, but also, you wouldn't know it to look at her. She just look, she's, I don't want to say, hang on, you might have to cut that out. I was going to say she's young. She hates it when people are like, "Oh, you're so young." Right. But yeah, she's just getting on with things. Yeah, and she's smashing it. Yeah, she's just doing it. Like, she's just like so many people.
So as a partner, so as a kid, I've had the pleasure of meeting her a handful of times when I've helped you out or whatever, taking a few photos. But she's got her head screwed on the right way.
Yeah, because it'd be so easy to sit down and go, cool, well, I'm going to die, so I'm just going to, what's the point? But she's gone completely the other way.
Yeah. And I think those stories are almost like, powerful seems like the cliche thing to say, but it is like, and it's like, and it's not, and like you were saying about motivation, like you expect to be motivated or like inspired by, for us, other photographers, not from stuff that's completely separate. And I think that's something that's like, that's interesting. It's like you don't expect it. It always catches you sort of off guard that you're like, what's going on? Like, it's nothing necessarily to do with photography, except for that you made a documentary about it, which is obviously video and stuff, but it's not that part of it that's like inspiring. It just,
I think podcasts are a great example of that. So like, because you're going to have an in-depth conversation with someone, right? So your preparation, like, you might be the same, right? When we do our podcast, we try and prep the best we can, or we panic, like, we haven't got any questions for them, especially if it's someone that we don't know, we're like, right, what should we talk about? We know everything about them because they document their life on YouTube. Obviously, we're best friends with them, but we're not. And then when you get talking to them, you start the podcast and you realise that they're completely different to how you thought they would be, but in the best possible way. Do you know what I mean? So like, I don't know, it might be different for you, it might be different for you too, but when you talk to someone, you're like, I know what I'm going to ask, here's the answers I'd ideally like to get, because I want the whole thing to look like this or sound like this. But really, you actually get inspired by the person you're talking to, or you find out things that you didn't expect to find out, and then, you've built that kind of bond with that person, but from an inspiring point, we always, every time we finish a podcast, we're like, we need to get on the next one.
Yeah, really enjoyed that. Really need to do more of these. And then about 5 minutes before you do the next one, you're going,
you have the same.
I really hope they cancel. Because I really don't want to do this. But it always, and then when we haven't done one for a while, which we're very sporadic with them, I miss doing them.
Yeah, I find weirdly the hardest ones to do are ones with people that I do actually know really well, or other podcasters. So
we're like a double whammy.
A little bit. Or if you don't know someone but you know sort of their work, then it is like a genuine curiosity a little bit. As if you already know someone. Like, I did an episode with my friend Ada, who I know all the stuff anyway because I've talked to her before. So when it comes to a podcast, it's a bit like that. Well, the start of every podcast, which is we've already hung out for an hour or two before, and then you have to go like, "Hi guys, how are you doing?" You have to restart the whole, and there's that whole thing. It's like, with her,
you know it's
like,
going to be awkward, but it's part of it.
Yeah.
But I like your guys' podcast because you're always yourself. It's not like you're a presenter. And I think you've never been like that, ever. Where my anxiety, when I started doing the podcast or when we were doing videos and stuff, I was so scared and I didn't know how to talk to a camera, but I had the balls to at least try it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I was like, right, I need to be... I need to be like this, or I need to be the YouTuber way or the podcast way, and I'm like, and you're just like, shut your fucking dickhead. So then but you're more chilled out as a person, while I'm a bit more lively anyway. But I need to be reminded sometimes to be myself. Do you know what I mean? And it's easier said than done. Right? But you guys are always. It comes across as like you're just sitting having a chat with someone that you've known for years. And it's not always the case.
I think we've struck a balance with this show, as like the old show was very much just like what you're talking about, but way pushed to the absolute extreme to the point where it like was a bad idea at times.
The people that are tuning in to watch that or listen to that, at least they know who you're being genuine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I hope that we've come across like that with Front, that people at least know who me and you are for the most part. But I
and weirdly, I worry that this show is too like, we tried to make it like good in a sense. So we've had like positive feedback, but that old show, despite being bad, has like 3 or 4 people who are like borderline super fans. Because I think it just for whatever reason worked for them. But for everyone else, it was like just retention drop off immediately.
God, retention, that's such a weird thing, isn't it? Like, to be looking at that, I didn't think of that as a thing, and now you're trying to work out what works well and doesn't work well.
Like, why did everyone turn off at 17 minutes? Like, what did we say? What did we do that made everyone switch off at that point?
But the reality is, it's probably, you can't know. They probably, you know, dinner was ready, or they just, phone ran out of battery, they'd finished going to the toilet, whatever. It's like, you know.
It's all sorts of weird reasons.
Some people are up for just talking. Remember when we spoke to Bray? He was like, I'm not doing the rest of the day. I'll just sit and talk
2 hours, he was like, I ain't going anywhere.
We were like, mate, it's about 11 o'clock at night. And it was like 11 a.m. whatever time it was.
In Washington State, I think he was in, so it was a good
time difference.
6 hours, 7 hours ahead. No, maybe even more. He
was like, hey boys, I'm not doing anything for this day. I can stay talking to you. I was like, mate, it's 11 o'clock at night.
Getting that access though is like,
it's really
kind of great with certain people.
Maybe a month or so ago, you were like, I didn't quite realise how kind of big some of the people that we had come on our podcast, you know, like the PHOTOMAFIA boys. And
we're obviously celebrities, bro.
We had we spoke to some awesome people.
But I didn't know. Like, so we had Christopher Stern, who I was like, oh yeah, he used to make guitar pedals, so I knew who he was. And like Kyle McDougall, I was like, all right, cool. I do, and now I was like, now I watch him, but I only really watch Grainy Days.
You knew Scarlett Page though, didn't you? Like, as who she was.
I knew who she was, but everyone else, I was like, oh, all right, we're speaking to who? Right, okay, I'll have a quick look through their Instagram, and then go, oh yeah, cool. And then I think I watched one of Kyle McDougall's videos and was like, why did you take a picture of a log? And then, and I remember asking him that. And as I was asking it, thinking, this is probably a really bad question.
Kyle was one of the reasons that I would credit for me getting into photography a lot of ways, because he had a podcast. Do you remember what was his podcast called? I technically still got it, I guess. He was like the OG for me for the podcast. But he had Jason Lee on his podcast, and me being a skateboarder.
Oh yeah. That's
And plus, I definitely fell into the YouTube world quite early, I think. Like, but I wouldn't say it's a generational thing. Like, it's not.
Well, we're almost the same.
I mean,
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, our class is in the same age bracket, but like, I've been watching YouTube more than anything. I don't watch TV anymore. I don't really watch Netflix or Amazon or anything like that. I tend to be drawn to more YouTube, because
photography YouTube had a like golden age a few years ago.
I feel like I got into it at that sort of time, maybe just before. So I was seeing these people come up who are now kind of like big names. But when we decided to start Front, I was like, fuck it, I'll message them. Like, why not? And every single one of them responded, was like, yeah, I'm down to talk to you on a podcast.
Yeah, and I remember you saying to me when we went out to take some photos, you were like, oh, we should film this. And I was like, what?
Like, why? People, man.
Why? And you're like, yeah, we make a video of it. And I was like, fuck, no, I don't want to do that. I enjoy taking photos. And then when I saw a couple of videos, I was like, okay, yeah, I get what you want to do. But I remember everyone saying about Volanders. And I was like, who the fuck is that? Like, I don't know. I know he's quite well known, but I've never watched any of his videos.
Well, him and Christopher Stern are both going through a rough time. I don't know if you've seen. I don't know if you're involved in this world, but
I'm a bit out of the loop, to be honest.
So Christopher Stern, very successful photographer, amongst other things, but has got a YouTube channel. He's just been diagnosed with some form of cancer.
Yeah.
Oh right.
Valanda's the same.
Yeah, I did see that. But but you, Christopher Stern, is working with Jason Lee now.
Yeah. Jason Lee's just got a new studio. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I haven't.
Cool. Town or city or whatever it is in the States. But
there you go.
I don't know. Jason Lee was a huge influence for me, being from the skateboarding side and the photography side.
And more rats.
And more.
Of course.
Oh man,
and Alvin and the Chipmunks. If we're gonna be honest,
I've never seen Alvin and the Chipmunks. I've never seen it. I think I've listened to the soundtrack, but never watched it. God, I should. Yeah.
Yeah. You've listened to the soundtrack.
Yeah. I do you know what? I even watched like an Epically Lated. I don't know if you've seen that. It's like a documentary. Jason Lee's got one.
Oh, I have.
Yeah. And he was talking about that in it. I'm just like, just never watched it.
Yeah. I was thinking about Epically Lated when you were talking about tour and talking about those stories, like John Cardiel's one. It's like, so if you want a reason to get out of bed in the morning, that's like, that's...
I was talking about, because he's now like on his bike and that, isn't he? Like,
he
doesn't skate anymore.
Well, he still skates. There's still, like, recently, like, a couple clips and stuff. Like, obviously, he's still like, it's not like Tent City, John Cardiel, but it's like... He's still
John
like,
Cardiel.
Yeah, and he's still like, because he had... did you ever get the Vans video, Propeller?
Is that a tour video?
Nah, it was just a straight up video. No. It's super fucking sick. I got it from Skate Attic, and they had it, and I was like, Ash, how much of it? And Ash was like, oh, you get it with a pair of shoes. And then my dad just bought me a pair of shoes because he knew I wanted the video, and Ash wouldn't give it away. But it comes as like a hardback book, and it's like a photo book, and then at the back is the DVD, and it's super fucking sick. But in that, there's like...
Ash will have it in his library.
Ash will have it tucked away.
What he's done for Northampton. I know it's nothing to do with what we're talking about, but Ash
community, he's the guy.
He's the fucking man.
But
he should know that more often. Hopefully he'll listen to this. He will. I know what he's like. That's why he's so good. Do you know what I mean? He supports everything.
He's a fucking legend.
But I know what you mean. Yeah, just going back to that, it's just like crazy how you can get influenced by that and that. But I don't know if we've ever spoke about how we met. On Grindr, like completely.
Yeah, of course.
No, but we worked together, but we didn't. We worked together for a year and didn't really know that we liked photography.
No, we didn't really talk about it.
It wasn't until after we left that we kind of...
Yeah, I think I wasn't really putting much or doing anything with the photography.
Yeah.
I wasn't putting it on social media or anything like that. And then when I started doing that, I think... That's when we started speaking. We both worked for the same company and left, and that's when we started speaking again via Instagram. And you were like, "Oh, that's a cool photo. Can I have a print?" And I think I said, "I'll swap you for a print." So you give me one of yours, and you were like, "Oh, what's your address?" And I remember sending you a message. Like when you're an adult and you want to be friends with somebody, I was like, maybe we could meet up for a coffee. And you were like, yeah, okay. And then we did eventually, and that was that sort of
like lockdown sort of time, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was fun.
But I was inspired by everyone in because we were already kind of into street photography. Do you know what I mean? Like at that time when we started talking, right? Because we were regularly posting stuff, we were going into
by that point.
But I was inspired by people local or YouTubers. Do you know what I mean? These YouTubers that I follow. But then like Zettel for sure when he was doing 35NN, like that was a huge inspiration. I was so proud of him for doing that. But then
still waiting on issue 4.
I was talking to him about this on Saturday. He won't remember because he would have been a bit tipsy on the time. But he was giving me reasons why it would and wouldn't work. But I'll leave it there because I hope that it does come out and it is everything he wants it to be. But he inspired me for sure. I was actually living with Zettel, I think, when he did the first magazine. Anyway, off track. But yeah, he was a huge motivation, and then seeing all the people that are in that helped motivate me to pick up the camera, and I was definitely still in like the skateboarding world more at that time. But yeah, if you're into skating, you're definitely going to be into video and photography.
Yeah, they seem to go hand in hand, don't they? There's
stuff like that. And then the more I deep dived into that world, and then I was actually talking to my partner the other day. I was like, how I was saying earlier about finding time to go out and shoot myself. I felt like we've done. Like,
Just if you put the emphasis on a different word there, finding time to go out and shoot myself.
But when we were going out for hours at a time, as often as possible, to take millions of shit photos. But I feel like there's, and you would have done the same, We all do it.
That's the only way to get better.
Exactly, yeah. And I said it for the first time the other day, and I don't know if it's premature or a big-headed thing to say, but I said I feel like I've done my 5-6 years of shooting crap every day. And I only say that because I now feel like I'm finally at a place where I'm more drawn to taking certain photos for the first time, I think, ever. Rather than I don't care where we go, I don't care what time it is, I don't care where we are, I don't care what camera I've got, or I've just bought this camera, I'm shooting this film, I've got this lens. I don't get that anymore as much. There's still like the camera geek in me that wants to try new things and try new cameras or whatever. But if you said to me, right, we've got a day today, what do you want to go shoot? I'd be a lot more choosy. And I feel like
you get a bit mean with it, don't you? I still have a camera in my pocket and walk around, but you're like, that's not going to stick out. That's kind of similar to something else I've shot. That's you start
because you care, because you're influenced by other things that you've seen, because you're now more knowledgeable about the people that are in that world, and you want it to be good. You kind of know what looks good and bad to you. You know, it's personal opinion at the end of the day, right? But instead of me going out and taking 50 photos, bam, 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 I might not even take a photo, or maybe one or two. But I almost guarantee I'll like that photo, whether it's personal to me or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But it is a weird one.
For me, it's always the why.
Yeah.
Really, I'm just like, okay, I could take a picture of that, but what's...
Yeah, why?
Why am I doing... Like, what's the...
Even if you're shooting digital?
Yeah.
Really?
I still get a little bit, like... It's just all that stuff, and I find myself leaving quite a few shots just to be like, no.
Podcast once you said about why. I can't remember who you were talking to, but I'm sure you've mentioned this before. And I remember you saying that, what's the why? And it really made me think, like, why am I taking this photo? And you're good at that. You don't give yourself enough credit, but I get inspired by a lot of your photos because I can see the why in the results. And then you explain why you've taken that photo, where some of the photos you take, you're like, me and you are quite good now. I'm like, that's a Luke photo, and you'll say that's a Jamie photo, right? But to know the meaning behind that photo sometimes and why it's so good. Like, you'll sometimes text me a photo, and you'll be like, look at this, look at this, look at this. And I'm like, I already thought it was wicked, but now I know those extra details or the why behind it. I'm way more attracted to, like, you know, it means a lot more. It comes across a lot more powerful, do you know what I mean? And I think that's the same with other photographers now. As I start to know those photographers, when I see you post them or Alex post them or whoever it might be, if I vaguely know them or know of them, I can go, well, I can see why they took that photo because it makes sense to them, and I respect that, do you know what I mean? But again, why is the question?
Yeah, but then I do just take a lot of pictures and you don't see most of them. Like, I think that's the other...
I think it depends when you edit, because I do also know a lot of photographers who, like you saying, like, pointing out to me that I'm shooting digital. It's like I could just get all of them, but I'm kind of in my head like, I know I'm just going to take it out of Lightroom or skip over it, and then
I'll delete a lot of pictures, and I like pressing the shutter. I'm just completely trigger happy, and I want to see, like, there's a quote from Gary Winogrand that's like, I want to see what something looks like as a picture, and I feel like that. I'm just like, I don't give a shit if it's shit, it doesn't matter, but I just keep taking the picture, and I love clicking the button, and I'm never getting that. And it's like, it's great. And I take photos out of my window all the time. I must have like thousands of, like, literally,
you're that
let's
weird
say
neighbour
1,000 pictures sat at my desk at home, and I've always got like a camera out, or I've got a bag of cameras under my desk, and then a camera case. It's not like a plastic bag, and I'll always have one on my desk, and then I'm bored, I'll go, oh, I'll just take a photo of the garden. And it's the same picture every single time, but I like, focusing the camera and looking.
Yeah, just for the...
Yeah.
Got your fix out of it.
Yeah.
There's a photographer that we definitely follow through Front for sure, or you should know about if you don't. That Niall McDermott, or is his name? I always think it says McDiamond, but it's not. It's
Neil McDermott.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Featured in Frame Lines once.
Niall McDermott. Yeah.
Well, he brought out a photo book that is just, I think it's called like The Breakfast Club or some. Don't hold me to that. It's called Breakfast, and it's just a book that he's taken a photo every day in his kitchen of his breakfast, or his kids eating breakfast, or the dining table looking messy, or whatever it might be. But you just think he's the same as you. He's itching to take a photo, and before you know it, he's now got a book full of however many photos of breakfast.
That's awesome. One of those books that make perfect sense if you're a photographer, but to everyone else, they're just like, what?
Yeah.
Which is sort
I
of...
think when you first pick up a camera as well, you're like, well, I can make a photo book. Every photo I take, that's fire, mate. They're the best photos ever. I'll just put a book together of my last 50 photos. There you go, done. Millionaire. But I'm nowhere near bringing out a book. And I said to you the other day, didn't I? Like when I was in London, I took a few photos of some dogs, and that's only because I'm naturally drawn to a dog walking on the street that I take a photo, and it's only after I've done that for now 3 or 4 years am I going, there might be a project there. Maybe. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
But you know, when you work, like, my worry is, like, I think kind of what you're saying, that if you were out doing some street photography, I don't care if somebody thinks I'm taking a photo of them, because I'll talk to them and I'll delete it if they if it was that. But it's more someone walking past being like, what is he taking a picture of? I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I think people do genuinely think that. So it's not like an unfounded like anxiety. It's an actual thing. People are like, what? And I went out a while ago. We were at my mother-in-law's, and I was like, I've got a camera in my pocket. I was like, I'm going to go out for a little walk. Just want to go and take some photos. And she said something like, oh, is this sort of the pictures you put on Instagram? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, there's a bit of dog shit around the corner. You can go and take a picture of that. It's the sort of thing you take a picture of, isn't it? And I was like, yeah.
I hate that you said that.
I was like, I am going to go have a look. Is it in an interesting shape? Is there a nice shadow going across it? Because probably will. But people, it's a genuine, a genuine concern.
There's a real disconnect with photography between what photographers find interesting and what normal people find interesting.
But then there's also a point where I think I got to a point where it goes from trying to take a good photo to light, and it almost happens overnight.
Literally about to say that. I've actually got my camera in my bag. I can show you this picture. It's of my GoPro on Jamie's car dashboard. And it's fucking beautiful because of the light. Let me show you it.
I think once you get to that, like, I was just like, right, I want to take a photo of someone pissed on the street with a cone on their head and capture that moment. Which you know, the street photographer is like, I want to find that moment. But then the more I learn about photography, the less I do street photography. And then it almost happened overnight. Like I said, it's just right. I need light.
Yeah. The sort of the light thing is like kicks you in the teeth in England though, because we get fucking 14 overcast days and then one sunny day, and you get
so good here, isn't it?
You're kind of a bit like, oh shit.
Survive winter again.
To prove it, that's outside my. That's
the first one on the roll.
So he's scrolling through 56 photos of his garden at the moment.
Yeah, it's outside of my street. Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah, sexy looking car dashboard.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's like, I think it's.
Is that going to be on front as one of your photos?
It's just so good, isn't it? Yeah, man. There you go. Anyway.
So if anybody wants a photo of a GoPro sitting on a car dashboard, then we should talk about front because we keep mentioning it. And we should.
Yeah. Let me check the time. As well.
Yeah, because I think we are sort of at the.
Always happens too. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Let's get into front.
Yeah.
Before we walk away and go, shit, we didn't achieve what we are.
You fucking ramble on and don't know what you're talking about.
Right, start the time now, because I guarantee
this is the professional part of the podcast.
Do I have to explain what it is?
Yes.
Oh, you explain that, and then I'll explain what's going on with it.
I don't know why you never want people to know.
Because you'll always go, oh, you should say about this and that. It's basically,
this is going to end up with a million
relationship,
little text bits that you've texted me afterwards, being like, could you just put
Front?
that in?
What is
Just
Front?
a little
Front is
asterisk.
a digital platform where you can buy and sell prints and make money from it.
Yeah.
There you go. You deal with the rest.
Yeah, so you can upload your work to it. You can have a gallery, and you can sell your work as prints, and then we print it and ship it out for you. That's like the kind of clincher.
The core product that we're going to have when we launch. That was the core idea behind it.
Yeah.
Wasn't
So everyone, as a photographer, nowadays you don't really see your photos in print generally.
Yeah, you get stuck digital.
And I printed off a load of stuff and was like, whoa, this is so nice. And was like, everybody should see their work in print. And then was looking for a website that does what we're doing, and there wasn't really anything that I could find. Obviously, I spent about 2 minutes looking, and there actually is stuff that does this, but one of them's like Darkroom, and it's in America, and they ship everything from America, so that doesn't really work.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of other things, but they're like very corporate, and they're really geared towards like huge numbers of people. And we were like, actually, we want something that's a bit more like, we're the face of it. It's a community kind of thing, and we're not doing it to like make lots of money ourselves. We're doing it because we want to be able to give photographers the opportunity to make money from, like, you're not gonna,
at any level, right?
Anyone can do it, but also you're not going to make money as a street photographer unless you're very, very lucky. Like, there's very few people who, like William Klein, sort of, as an example, and even he did like fashion.
Don't forget about Joe Greer.
I do everything in my power to forget about Joe Greer. But like, you know, like Sean Tucker, he is a street photographer, but he doesn't make money from his street photography work apart from putting like his annual zine out. But he does, you know, headshots and all this kind of thing. So we were like, okay, so how could you sell your work as prints? It's lovely getting a print, it's a nice physical thing. So building this platform to allow people to create that platform, to create that profile, like a little gallery, like you might have an actual gallery, and then sell your work. Yeah. And it was Front. That's why we called it Front, because it's a shop front, like put your best work.
Yeah.
You put your best work in the window of your shop, right? I will give you that. That was your idea.
Was it? I was just saying, I think it's
you suggested shop front, and I said Front.
Well, that sounds bad.
So I think
Front sounds better.
I said, oh, but that does make sense.
Oh, I thought it was you, to be honest.
Okay. But the actual, like, you know, whatever, that was a joint effort, I'll say. But
well, then we got that idea, created an Instagram, started telling people about our idea, but again, blown away by the kind of reaction we got from it, the support that we continue to get. And this was like 3 or 4 years ago now. We were like, this is going to take, you come in from web design, we were like, we can launch this in a couple of months, no problem. Quickly realised it wasn't as simple as that. However, the community that we've met, the small community that we've grown, and the people that we've met through it, they're still there today. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like
we posted something yesterday for the first time in a while that was like, it's coming soon. We'll tell you about this in a minute, because it really is coming soon.
Nice.
There's been so many hiccups with it.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say, the other thing is, what we were seeing a lot is people on their website would say, oh, buy prints, like buy a print, and there would be a button, or in their it would say on their Instagram bio, and then you'd click it and it would be like coming soon, and they'd be like, oh, I'm going to sell some prints, and then people would say, oh, maybe I'll order a print, and then they go, how do I do it? And
or the other one is the Instagram description that says DM for send it to
that was like
instead of saying DM for prints, you can just
have a link
take
and it's
10
there.
minutes to create a profile, set your prices. You only chuck a few photos up. We're not going to let people put like hundreds of pictures up. And then you're done. And then when someone buys it, obviously we take a small like cut of that to keep it as a going concern as a business, but also to pay for the printing and the postage and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, but you're still making like more than you would by not selling anything. But we're not like trying to be like.
And you don't have to do the stress of like finding someone to print it, or the sort of, oh, is this printer going to be decent, or are they going to send back shit? Are they going to, tell me if I've done something stupid with the file, or are they just going to print it and be like, well, you got what you're given, and then having to worry about like bubble wrapping it, worrying about all the other logistics. Like a lot goes in actually just to simply post someone a print, you know what I mean?
And the other thing with it was as well is I saw there was a guy I followed on Instagram, just he had like 100 followers, completely random person, and I saw a photo of his and I was like, I want that as a print, and I messaged him. He does live in America, but I was like, can I have that as a print? And he was like, yeah. And it was like, took a couple of months for him to go, do you still want this? Like, because I've now worked out how to do it. Yeah. I was at the point where I messaged him and I was like, look, I'll give you like $50 and just send me a high-res JPEG and I'll print it myself. Like, I just want it. And I want to buy it off you. Yeah. And I, and just send it to me. And weirdly, I was watching a documentary. I can't remember what it was, but it had the location of where he'd taken that photo, and it looked really.
Oh right.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, so those kind of things like spurred us on to doing it. So very, very boring. Took a long time to build it. Built it somewhere, it was shit. Built it somewhere else, it was shit. And then we've almost got it ready. There's one bug that it's just trying to fix.
Right. So to do with releasing the payment to our customers.
Yeah. So you couldn't. Did some custom work on it, and then you couldn't. It stopped the money from withdrawing properly. So like I can do everything manually, but if we get like even if we get 100 people that stacks up. I can't go through and do all this stuff manually. It's got to be able to scale properly. So.
Bear in mind, we're doing all this as well in our own time.
Yeah, on top of freelance and everything else.
We haven't got any money to do it. We haven't got like we've invested our own money. But we haven't got like investors. We didn't do a GoFundMe type thing.
And a lot of people told us to do that, and we were like, no, this is for the community, by two photographers, not a business.
Yeah. Also, as soon as you take money from people, you then owe them something.
Yeah. Pressure's on them.
Yeah, for us it can be like, well, if we never launch it, it'll be a shame. But
we didn't think we'd still be friends by this point. We'd thought,
we thought we'd have sailed off into the sunset. But I got a message from a guy who, like, we have a friend who runs a creative agency who gave us, some of his time and his developers' time to help build the website. Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't quite work out, but he is still involved in the company.
And rightly so,
but his one of the developers who worked on it briefly and then left contacted me and said, "Did you ever get that front launched?" And I was like, "Well, explain to him where it was." And then sort of like, long story short, he's now a partner in the business and he's actually building it. So although it was going to be ready once its bug's fixed, all of that work that we've been doing to build this thing, which to be honest it's not great, but our plan was launch it, make as much money as we can from that, just slowly. And once we've got probably like 40, 50 grand, so it's like it's going to be a real thing. We'll go to a developer and we'll say, we need you for 6 months. These people pay like £500 a day. We need you for 6 months to build us this thing. But even then, like, could we trust them to do it? I don't know. But basically, he's come in as that person and he's gone, I can build it for you in the next.
And not only that, he wants to build it. Do you know what I mean? He's reached out to us to say, look, I like the idea of front when I met you a couple of years ago. Where is it at? Can I be involved?
And I as soon as he messaged me, I was like, he can be a partner in the company. I spoke to him saying, like, are you looking for some freelance work? Because if you are, cool, I'd love to work with you, but it's going to be 12 months at least before we can afford to pay you anything. And he was like, nah. And I was like, do you want to be a partner? So he had the same idea all along. So he's as we speak, he's literally just messaged me saying like, "Here's some stuff I've been working on."
He's more on it than me and Luke, which is
every day, and he's like, he's built the architecture for the like the database and stuff like that, and done all this stuff. It's like in this, you know, so quick. But even for the work he's done, it would have cost us what, $5,000 by this point,
easy,
and he's only
he's
been working on it for a week or so.
But also, I think on reflection of the last few years, regardless, like put the time that we've been able to spend on front and not spend on front, we've got, and we're proud of that, big ideas for front. Some of them might work, some of them might not, but front is definitely going to be more than just the print side, but that is definitely the core product. But there's ideas that we can help the community out in other areas as well, right? And we were trying to implement all of this when we built front, and we're telling people, we're telling our small following, front's going to be X, Y, and Z. Please help support us, and they are supporting us. We've had thousands of people register to our mailing list, which is awesome. Like, but we were like, right, something else we can do with front is this, and we're like, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's a bad idea. So when it launches now, it's going to be stripped back. It's going to be version 0.1. Do you know what I mean? We just want to get it out as quick as you can, but as long as everyone knows, it's going to grow. It'll have teething problems. It will grow. It will get better. It will evolve. Do you know what I mean? All those things. But most important...
Yeah, but it will be good.
It will be work.
It'll be good. Although it will only have a few basic things it can do, it will do those things really well. Whereas what I had built...
had everything, but maybe not smooth.
It had stuff, but it was just clunky.
Right.
Because we just sort of like used a plug-in and then like butchered it to get it to
do what you wanted. Yeah. There's a lot of working around other stuff.
So now we're stripping it back to its like real basics, but it will work well. And then if we can make a little bit of money from that for the business, it'll just get reinvested to put into stage 2, stage 3, until we can get to a point where we're like, right, that makes sense now. But again, our goal has always been to help support the community, be involved in the community, and have everyone on the same level. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, there might be in the future different versions of front or whatever it might be, but as I was coming up, and I'm still very much in that, I'm a nobody in the photography world. I'm still following people with no followers. Do you know what I mean? We just wanted front to be for everyone, not just for the people with 10k plus followers, or 1 million followers, whatever it is. But yes, we can still be in awe of those people that have made it big and inspired by them, because they will help the little people like us. But it's always to have a platform that can help the whole community. Do you know what I mean? And it'll be fun. Do you know what I mean? So
that's where we are. And by the time this comes out, it'll be almost... this is going to be out in like July, you said?
Yeah.
I mean, we should be... It should be done, testing to be launched in August.
How that works yet, it might just be a case of friends and family like you guys will be
like some sort of beta test sort of thing, so you're not getting angry emails from someone you don't know being like, what the fuck?
We'll do like a beta test first, but then also I think the plan is for August that it will be, worst case scenario is it's launched, but you have to go on a waiting list to use it, and we manually decide who gets to sign up for it. But I don't even think it will be that. No. I think it will be...
In theory, we'll be testing it before August.
Of course. We fucking will. Not in theory. We'll absolutely
test it before August, get people using it before August, so we can then launch in August, effectively, at whatever stage it's at. Obviously, it will still grow, but that's the first time we've ever said out loud a date. Rather than...
On the record, that's like...
That is on the record now,
Or when we did a podcast a while ago, and I said, it'll be a few weeks, but that was just because this one bug that I can't fix, without breaking everything else. So I'm just that can go in the bin. Never mind.
Good times.
Yeah,
but that's part of the process, you know.
Yeah, but honestly,
if
you happen to be listening to this and know what front is about, then thank you for your continued support. If you're checking it out now, August. I'm not even going to say coming soon. August.
Yeah.
Or that's when you're going to be on the waiting list from anyway. But to be fair, like honestly, when I put something out on Instagram yesterday, I was blown away by like we got loads of like direct messages. Can't wait. Or
Well, you've done well at building the brand around you guys with the podcast and the videos and stuff.
Like, I don't, like,
I
well,
went like,
well, I did because like when for example, when I think of PHOTOMAFIA, I think of you two, right? Or I don't think about the brand. I think instantly of you two because I know you two. Yeah. So, but if I wasn't maybe from Northampton or wasn't from this community, I would see PHOTOMAFIA as the brand, right? So there's people every day that might find Front as a brand or whatever the hell you call it. I don't know. It is a brand, but not launch it, obviously. But then we know that we've got a lot of people that stay tuned because they've bought into me and Luke. Do you know what I mean? So it's a weird which target audience, but then as long as you're in that community, come and enjoy it, I guess.
Yeah. I was on a job a while ago and someone came up to me and was like, are you from Front? And I was like, yeah, like some random like trade show kind of thing. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, I love, like, when is it launching? Blah, blah, blah.
Well, who were we talking to at the photography show the other day?
Miles, Expired Film Club, if you know.
He takes photos of my football.
Right.
Yeah.
God, this is how bad I am with football. I don't even bloody know. Pitch side, is that what you say?
Yeah, so he started a company called Expired Film Club where he sold expired film, and then he started taking like old cameras to football matches and just sat up in the seats taking pictures. And then he asked if he could go, like, I suppose, pitch side and be with like the press photographers. And now like that's his job pretty much.
Right, cool.
But it's specifically using old.
Yeah.
You know.
Does he do a lot of Instagram content like that? I think I've probably seen
like,
it through that.
Recently he was on like Lad Bible and had
he's
like
on loads of
Joe or whatever it is, and I'm just like, this is like we spoke to him at the photography show, but he was like, yeah, I know you boys.
Yeah, I went up and
like, this is weird. Do you know what I mean? Like,
because I was like, I used to chat to him on Instagram quite a lot, and he had like a couple of thousand followers.
Now he's got
and
like
I thought he won't. I see him in person, but I don't put pictures of myself on Instagram. You know, generally there is on Front, but I was like, oh, you won't know me, but I'm like Luke. We've like spoken on it, and he's got like 500,000 followers now. And he was like, yeah, oh, you're Front, you two, yeah. I was like, oh, okay,
cool, Luke. Cool.
Yeah. But there you go.
Yeah. So that's Front. If you're interested, there you go.
August.
Yeah.
Right.
I was going to say, can we ask about you? But that's not. Feels weird not asking questions about
you're
you.
too used to hosting.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's really weird not to ask you, but
yeah.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's probably what time is it?
3:15.
Fuck off.
3:45.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. Nice one, guys. Cool. Appreciate it. Much love to PHOTOMAFIA.
Sick.
Oh, and if you're going to buy a PHOTOMAFIA apparel, have you still got T-shirts or hoodies for sale or anything?
We don't. It's been on our sort of temptation to do some new ones, but again, it's want to sort it, do it.
So I want to know where you get them printed, because that is what we're going to use for Front. Luke don't even know this yet, but my PHOTOMAFIA T-shirt, to be fair, I've been repping, haven't I? I rep my PHOTOMAFIA T-shirt everywhere, and it's the best because of the quality. Do you know what I mean? So,
fuck.
God,
He'll be.
I'll
let you know, but it's
format camera. Can you do the same of us two?
Yeah, I need to get a photo of you two for the YouTube, the thumbnail, which we always forget to do, and then go.